Hello everyone, this is Cadillac1, and welcome to Weapon Essentials 2 in Unreal Engine 4 C++. Today I'll be discussing with you about inventory systems, collisions, projectiles, trace identification, and projectile identification. So let's sit back and let's begin. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, we're going to open up the editor and add some new code to our project. We're going to add new code that inherits from weapon. So let's go ahead and click on local Windows debugger and start up the editor. The new three weapons we'll be adding is pistol, shotgun, and a rocket launcher. So this will be pretty exciting. Alright, you got the editor all loaded up. So I'm going to hit File, Add Code to Project, and I'm going to show all classes. Let's find Weapon. There we are. And let's add Pistol for our class name. And hit No because we have a couple more to set up. Add Code to Project, show all classes, Weapon, and Shotgun. Create class. Hit No. File, add code to project, show all classes, and finally, we will now add our rocket launcher. Create class. And hit yes, we got everything added. Reload all, and we'll stop debugging. We don't need those two for now, because we're just going to get some things set up. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do, we're going to get rid of this constructor helper, because we're actually going to be using collisions to add stuff into our inventory and spawn it from our inventory itself. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to discuss with you, we're going to be talking about the collisions. And in order for collisions to work, we're going to be using this collision comp, this box component, to be our collision, to detect whether something is touching it or not. But in order to do that, we need to call a function. We can make our own custom function from our overlap. So we're going to make this be a U function. The reason being we need to make this a U function is because if we don't have this be a U function, the engine will crash on startup, because it needs to know this is a function that is called onBeginOverlap, but we're overriding it to say, hey, we're going to call this function if we have an overlap. So I'm going to say void onCollision. I'm going to call it this. I'm going to pause it real quick and add these parameters inside here real quick. Okay, so I just got done putting the parameters inside, and there's quite a few parameters, 5 to be exact. But mostly we're going to be using this one here today. But let me try to explain a couple of them for you. So A actor, other actor. Basically, what this does is sending information from begin overlap to detect if an actor has touched this component, this collision. If a collision happened with an actor, which would be inside this collision comp, if something touched this, it's going to send information to this first parameter so we could do something with that actor that has touched it. The U primitive component, I'm not 100% sure. I think it's a scene component, like whatever's on a scene, stuff like that. These three I'm not 100% sure about, but for today we're going to be worrying about this very first parameter, the A actor, other actor. So since we declared our prototype, we needed to actually put our definition inside our .cpp file. And go to void and add our class name. And scope. There we go. So now, if you're going to ask me, how on earth are we going to actually tell this collision component, this box component, to call this function on collision to replace the onComponent begin overlap? This is how we do it. So on our collision component, we're going to say collision comp memory access on component begin overlap dot add dynamic. Basically what this is saying, we're adding a new function to call when an onComponent begin overlap happens. When this event happens, we're going to do something. And I'm going to say user object this being the character, and the function name. We have to make a reference to it, reference pointer to a weapon essentials character, scope 2 on collision. I could type on collision. And that's it. That's all we need. I believe. Yep. Definitely. And now we actually, every time when a begin overlap, when something enters in the collision comp, it's going to call this function every time. So now, since we have that information, we can do a few other things now. But first off, we need to do a couple more things. We need to add a particular inventory system here quick. Let's see. All right, we'll put it in a protected function here real quick. Now, in order to do an array, we need, not an array, but in order to do an inventory system, we need to use an array. So a T array, and it's going to be a T subclass of a weapon. Because we could do this, I'm going to call it inventory as well. We can do this and make everything work with pistol, rocket launcher, and shotgun class, all because they all derive from weapon. Everything, all those weapons here, they derive from weapon. And it does not matter at all. As long as they derive from weapon, we can store it in there. As long as the inventory has the base class of a weapon. So now, first thing we're going to do first around the constructor, we're going to set the size of this array. And for how we do this, we go in this in our constructor. I'm going to say inventory dot set num, and we're going to have it be 3 just in case. And do we want to allow shrinking? No, we're going to say false. Okay. So then we can now, alright, we got to do one last thing here. In our .h file, we're going to, right below weapon.h, we're going to add the include our pistol class, and we're going to include our other classes as well. The include shotgun, and where is it at, rocket launcher? Because it's not going to know what the hell we're talking about unless we put those include files here when we do call the collision down here. So in our collision here, we are going to actually get the class of pistol first. We're going to say a pistol, and we're going to make this be a pointer, and we're going to call it pistol. I'm going to equal cast a pistol, and end that, and then say other actor. Alright. So basically, this line of code is saying this. If other actor is a pistol static class. Essentially, that's basically what this is saying in this little line of code here. Pardon me. But the difference is we're actually storing a pointer variable to this statement in a way. So instead of putting all this line of code here for our if statement, we could say if pistol. Makes it a lot easier as well. So let's say if pistol, we say inventory 0 equals pistol get class. And the reason being I say get class is because the T subclass of is basically a subclass of a weapon that allows spawning, but we can't access any variables or anything inside it. But if we say get class, we can actually make it a T subclass of weapon. But technically this is derived from weapon, so it doesn't matter. So we could say if pistol is derived from weapon, we can still get the class of it and store it in our a weapon array. Now, I should have explained this a little before. So the reason why I'm saying inventory 0, because the next one I'm going to say inventory 1 and inventory 2 as well. And if you didn't know, arrays start at 0. Their one slot is actually 0. But we're going to say for the shotgun we're going to store in 1, and the rocket launcher we're going to store in 2. The reason being for this, we're going to be using keyboard events to call from number 1, number 2, number 3. The number 1 is going to be pistol, number 2 is going to be shotgun, and number 3 is going to be rocket launcher. So let's go ahead and do this here real quick. And also, after we pick it up, we want to know, actually we're going to add one thing to our weapon class here quick. Because this is going to be actually very important to do. Because we want to know something in particular to help us, give us a little more negotiation when we actually switch weapons. So I'm going to say f string, we're going to call it name. Because we actually get put in the name of the actual weapon itself. So now we're going to do the same thing for the shotgun and for the rocket launcher. So I'll be right back, and I will show you the result when I get done here quick. Alright, so basically what I did is the exact same thing with a pistol with everything else. Basically just saying, calling if a shotgun is touched, or if rocket launcher is touched, we're going to actually change these around. We're going to change it to slot 1 in inventory and rocket launcher in slot 2. Alright, so now we just want to do a couple things more as well. We just want to check if we touched the right class or not. So we're going to have a g-engine. I'm going to add an on-screen debug message. On-screen debug message. I'm going to say -1, 2.f. I'm going to have the f color be black. And we're going to have to say, I just picked up a, I'm going to say plus pistol weapon config.name. So we could tell if we picked up the right weapon. It'll tell us we picked up this weapon. And then we're going to do the same thing down here and down here. Except for pistol, we're going to say shotgun. And we're also going to say rocket launcher. Bingo. And also we got to do one last thing. Once we pick it up, we want to destroy it. We don't want the mesh or anything of the class being there on the scene. We want it to stay in our inventory for now. So I'm going to say pistol, destroy. Same thing with shotgun and rocket launcher. I'm going to say rocket launcher, destroy. Alright, so essentially this is all done. We got everything for on collision to store everything in our inventory. So actually, I want to test this out real quick. Let's go ahead, actually let's get rid of this. Actually, I'm just going to comment this out actually, because we're going to need this code later. This is our spawning things we need to spawn our weapon. So let's take a look, make sure everything's okay here. Okay, yep. We'll start up the editor, and I'm going to show you what we just did with the on collision here. Just to check, like, hey, we touched this and we touched that. Alright, let's give it a minute. Alright. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, we're going to make 3 blueprints. And also we're going to get rid of our weapon blueprint because we don't need that no more. Because we're actually making different classes. So I say new blueprint. Get pistol. I'm going to make another one. Blueprint. I'm going to get shotgun. Shotgun. And I'm going to add one more. I'm going to add our rocket launcher. Awesome. So, they're all going to have the same mesh for now because I want to make this tutorial a little more straightforward with the programming. So they're all going to have the shotgun mesh. But however, if you're doing this tutorial and you have these meshes, different kinds of meshes for it, go ahead and do so. I mean, by all means. So, as you can see in our config here, it has a new option. It says name. So we're going to give the shotgun name, of course, shotgun. Let's give it the enter. There we go. Compile, save. I'm going to do the same thing with rocket launcher and pistol. Grab the mesh. Give it a skeletal mesh. Compile. Give this one rocket launcher. Compile, save. There we go. And go to pistol. Give it a skeletal mesh. Go to our defaults. We're going to say pistol. We're going to compile it and save it. Now, let's go ahead and put these 3 things on the scene. I'm going to put it in order. Pistol, rocket launcher, and the shotgun. Actually, rocket launcher goes here. I'm going to put a shotgun in the middle. There we go. So, let's go ahead and save this scene here quick. Hit play, and we'll see what we have. When we collide with this, it just says, I just picked up a pistol. I just picked up a shotgun. I just picked up a rocket launcher. That's really awesome. It knows exactly what we picked up. So now, it knows it's in our inventory, but we want to spawn it in our particular inventory. So let's go ahead and go back into our code and get this started. Alright, so now, first thing we're going to need to do, because we're making key events to do this, for input settings, we're going to actually add 3 functions. We're going to add a void equip pistol, void equip shotgun, and a void equip rocket launcher. Now the reason I'm doing this is because, I'm making key events for it, but I'm trying to make this more visually for you guys to understand how to kind of make an inventory system work and how it kind of behaves. It may not be the best way of doing this, but I'm just going to try to show you guys how it's behaving and how you can visually really see it. So we got those 3 prototypes here. Now I'm going to add the definitions. So I'm going to actually grab this here quick, and I'm going to add them below. I'm going to say equip pistol brackets equip shotgun and equip the rocket launcher. That should take care of that. Alright, so, and the first thing we're going to need to do as well, we're going to set our current weapon to null right off the bat. So let's set the current weapon equal null, because we're not going to have a weapon right off the bat. But if we actually do our firing trigger, if we call this function, if there's current weapon equals null, it's going to crash the engine. So we have to do a check, because this is how we're actually storing this variable to call the function of the current weapon, which is probably where our inventory is, to do something for us. So we're going to say if current weapon does not equal null, if it doesn't equal null, we're going to actually do this function, so it doesn't freak out. Oops, wrong way. There we go. Else, we're going to have we're going to say a G engine, like give it a debug on-screen message here quick. I'm going to grab this out here quick. Go to, here we go. We're going to change the color to be red. And we're going to say, not that, but we're going to say no weapon in hand. There. This gives us a check to say, hey, there's no weapon here because there's no current weapon in our hands right now. Okay, so now, since we have that all set up, let's begin with equip pistol, because a lot of this is going to be the same. But remember we commented out this here? We're going to use this the spawning thing here from we used from the last tutorial. Essentially, it's all the same thing, but there's quite a few things we need to add, and I'll show you here real quick. So we don't need weapon spawn. We want to spawn our first slot in our inventory. Inventory 0, and we need our weapon spawn parameters, which would be spawn params. Awesome. Now we say, underneath if spawner, we have a lot of things to discuss here. We also need to check if current weapon does not equal none. Well, null, should we say. We have a lot of things to do here. So, if current weapon does not equal none, because we're going to set up right now, we're going to set up a way to put away our current weapon and set our new current weapon. In order to do this, we need to find the actual correct inventory that we're switching from our previous weapon to our current weapon on. So we have to say something like this. We're going to do a for loop. We're going to do int 32 I equals 0. And we're going to say I is less than 3 because our inventory system starts from 0 to 2. We're going to say less than 3, it will equal 2. And then we're going to say I++. So that's how a for loop works. And we're going to say if inventory I, which is where we're going to put our for loop, we're going to detect each inventory slot about. We're going to check if the names are the same, and also if it does not equal null. Because if you do not put this check with the do not equal null, it will crash your engine every time you select it twice. Very important. Not equal null. And inventory. Now brace yourself here. Inventory I. Get default object a weapon. Now basically what this does, it changes it from a T subclass of to basically a pointer like this. It straight up just does that. But it's important because we need to check the current, we need to check if the weapon config.name equals current weapon config.name. If it does equal this, we can actually store that inventory slot that we just got from our current weapon and put it into that to the old slot, so we get open up that current weapon that we have for the pistol. Like for example, let me try to explain this a little more carefully. Say you have a shotgun equipped right now in your current weapon, and we want to put it away. When we trigger this function event here, we want to check if the current weapon does not equal null, and we're going to do a for loop to check each slot in our inventory, and it's going to ask itself if the inventory does not equal null, and if the inventory slot .name equals shotgun, and if the current weapon is a shotgun, we need to put it back in that inventory slot. So we could say inventory I equals null, because we're going to empty it quick, and then we're going to re-input it back into it. Inventory and I equals current weapon, and of course get class, because we need to get the subclass. We're going to do another G engine special here. Oops. No. Do another G engine here quick, because I want to actually check if you're putting the correct thing in the right slot and you're responding to the correct thing from the right slot. So we're going to say, we're going to make this, do I want this to be black? Yeah, I'll have this be black. We're going to say I put plus current weapon wep config.name plus away in slot. I'm going to say plus f string and then scope from int. This changes the integer to a string if you didn't know. So basically you're going to say I put the current weapon away in the slot from what for loop we're checking, because the I is going up every time we for loop it. It's going to check it, and if we do this, it's going to actually trigger, hey, we put it in slot 1. Hey, we put it in slot 2, whichever one we know. After we have that, since that's all corrected, now after our for loop, if current weapon still does not equal none, because we're going to do that for loop, we're going to put it away first, and then we're going to current weapon, and we're going to destroy it, or destroy that current weapon. Since we've got that information, we don't need it anymore. We're going to empty it. Now we're going to say spawner. Actually, now we actually put this up here, where we actually snap it to the socket, to that weapon socket. But because of the Unreal Engine 4.5, we need to turn off the collisions, because when you snap the mesh to the target, if it has a collision component on it, it will crash the engine. For some reason it is, and they're still investigating it right now. So the solution to do this right now, we had to say spawner collision comp, which is a collision component for this. We have to say set collision enabled, and we have to say collision enabled, and scope. I'm thinking not collision channel collision enabled. Scope no collision. This will turn off the collision for us, so this crash will not happen. And then now, after we attach it, after we toss that spawner, we can now say current weapon equals spawner. But we want to know what weapon we spawn and from what slot. Or just say what the current weapon is, actually. So we say current weapon is, say here, my current weapon is, I'm going to say plus current weapon, weapon config.name. There. Now we have a check saying, hey, this is what weapon we equipped. This is what weapon we put away. Now essentially we could do this for all. This can be copied and pasted to each of these functions. But the reason being I'm doing this right now, I just want you to visually see what's happening here. That's really all I want you guys to see, because I really do care about you guys, and I really want you to learn from me and from other people that actually try to help you. So, but we have to change the slot numbers. We're trying to get the slot 1 for the shotgun and slot 2 for the rocket launcher. Because, and if you remember in our collision, we store our pistol in slot 0, our shotgun in slot 1, and our rocket launcher in slot 2. Because we want to spawn it from the correct inventory slots. Okay, so, may have been quite a doozy. So, what now? First thing we're going to do, we need to set up our weapons. But first off, we need to see if this will work. I'm going to exit out of this, and we're going to actually restart the other, just to be sure we got our compiled code correctly. Just to be sure. You know, it's quite a doozy, but this will all make sense once you see what happens. Weapon essentials. Alright, so now we have all this set up, but we're going to delete these real quick. I'm going to re-add them from the blueprint because, oops, no, we don't want to delete the floor because we can't need to walk on it. So let's go ahead and go to pistol because we need to set up our projectile types. Okay, this is already all set up, but we need to set our range because we made this visually very appealing. We'll just have a random speed 2, compile, we'll save that. And then we'll go to our shotgun and we'll set this to spread. We'll have this weapon range be 1000 as well. And we'll make the spread be 8. Compile and save. Exit out of that. And we'll go to our rocket launcher. Now, rocket launcher is going to be projectile, which I'll be discussing here in a little bit, how to get this working and switching up between which kind of classes is what. Let this be 500, be 1000 as well. No weapon spread. Compile, save. Exit. Now let's go ahead and add these. So we're going to add our pistol. And we're going to add our shotgun. Over here. And we're going to add our rocket launcher. Now I'm going to show you some tests that I'm going to do here quick, just to make sure nothing will crash. But I'm going to show you first the beauty of how this is going to happen. So we just picked a rocket launcher, shotgun, and a pistol. So I've hit one. Oh, guess what I forgot to do, guys? I forgot to put in our input keys. So we should probably do that first. So let's go to edit, and go to project settings, go to input, action mappings. Let's see here quick. Okay, I do have them here. But anyways, I'm going to delete these here real quick. I want to show you firsthand. So I'm going to add an action map. I'm going to say pistol. I'm going to have this be keyboard mouse slot 1. I'm going to add one more. I'm going to add a shotgun. I'm going to have this be an action map of 2 on the keyboard. And we're going to add rocket launcher. Be the slot of 3. And awesome. So now we got that all set up. Okay, exit out of that. And now we can go back into our code without exiting the engine. We are now going to give it the key points. So we're going to say input component find action. We're going to call pistol. It's going to be IE underscore pressed. So when we press it, if I type pressed, it's going to be this we're calling from. Reference to a weapon essentials character. Equip pistol. Do the same thing for the others. And copy those, paste it 2 times. To pistol, we're going to put shotgun. And instead of equip pistol, we're going to say equip shotgun. And then same thing for the rocket launcher. And equip. There we go. Now let's compile it and see if it works. Sorry about that, guys. Always those little minute details. Alright, I'm going to pause it and I'll come back when it gets done compiling. Alright, just got done compiling. So let's go ahead and play and see if we got this to work. Picked up pistol, picked up shotgun, picked up rocket launcher, hit 1. Looks like I may need to restart the editor. Just give me 1 second and I'll restart it. I'm going to check my config, my default input. It should have it here. Yes, it does. Okay, good. I'm going to hit locals with no debugger. Double check one last time. So this should work. Find action. Yep, should all work. Always running a little bit of bugs sometimes. Hopefully it's not a bug. Alright, let's see if this is going to work. Alright, so now let's hit play. Let's store these SOBs in here. Pistol, shotgun, rocket launcher. Huh, that's strange. Let's see, what am I missing here? Shouldn't be missing anything. Equip. Let's see, just want to make sure we have everything. If spawner, if curl doesn't equal none, for loop. Checking the inventory. Inventory I is not equal null. Current class. From int. Alright, yeah, this should work just fine. Got weapon socket. Current weapon spawner. Let's see here. It should tell us if it did happen. It's not spawning it, it's just not triggering the event. Why is the question? I do not know. So I'm going to do, let's just check if that is not equal null. Oh, you know what I forgot? I forgot to check if the current weapon does equal null. So we're going to say if current weapon does equal null, we'll say else. We need to do something else. We're just going to actually do this. Exact same thing, except we're not going to destroy the current weapon because we can't destroy what's not there. So do the same thing for down here for all the other ones, for equip rocket launcher and equip pistol. I'm sorry about that, guys. And let's go ahead. There we are. That happens. So we're going to compile it, and it should work now. Almost there. Alright, the code just got done compiling. Alright, final check. Pistol, shotgun, rocket launcher. 1. The current weapon is a pistol. Now see if it's shooting the right properties. Shooting 1 traces. Now let's go to 2. My current weapon is a shotgun. I just put away pistol in slot 0, which is the first slot where it's supposed to go. Now shooting spreads. Awesome, that's beautiful. Now let's go to 3. Put away shotgun in slot 1. My current weapon is a rocket launcher. Shooting projectiles, but we're not there yet, but I will show you here in a bit. So let's go ahead and go back to 1. My current weapon is pistol. Let's put rocket launcher away in slot 2. Now, let's see if we can keep hitting 1, see if it'll still work. So he's putting away the current weapon and it's re-equipping it. no matter what. Same with 2, and same thing with 3. You can switch back between 4th and scramble it, it'll still work just fine. That's really cool. Alright, now let's go ahead and move on to projectiles from the rocket launcher. So alright, so the first thing we're going to do, I'm going to set up the projectile class, and then I'll show you guys how to, when you have it selected on projectile in your enum, and we'll spawn the projectile. But first I'm going to set up the enum, not enum, but the projectile class for the rocket. It's not going to be exactly a rocket, I'm just going to show you how to do projectile. So we're going to go to File, Add Code to Project. We're going to have it be an actor, and we're going to name it Rocket. Create class. And we will hit yes. Actually hit no. We're going to save all this before we go out. Exit out of this. And going to reload all. Awesome. So we'll go to our rocket.h and our rocket.cpp. Put this over here. So we're going to add a few things. We're going to add a U property. We're going to add the sphere component first. I'm going to say visible defaults only. Category equals projectile. I'm going to have a T sub object pointer and be the U sphere component, and then we'll name it collision comp. And then we'll have another U property. This will be a U property. Let's be visible anywhere. Blueprint read only. Category equals movement, because we need our projectile movement right when it spawns. So it's going to be a T sub object pointer of class U projectile movement component. Because the reason we want to use class is because we have to include a special .h file to make this work in our .cpp file, and I'll show you here shortly. I'm going to add a U function. This is going to be a hit function, as a matter of fact. It's going to be a void on hit a actor. It's basically essentially what I explained to you in the collision on collision with the overlap on begin overlap, but it just has a few less things and different things. So it's going to have a U primitive. It's going to have the primitive component, spell primitive component, and other comp. It's going to have a F vector. It's going to have normal impulse, which is basically going to check the impulse of the hit. To check, say, hey, you know, this SOB just got this much speed from the hit. It's going to go back this far if you want to do that. Constant F hit result, which will be a reference to hit. Alright, so I'll get that all set up. And I think it's complaining here why it shouldn't be. Oh, I think it'll go away here shortly. So in our .cpp, we're going to add quite a few things here quick. We're going to add this collision component to be our default subobject and make the radius and all this other stuff going on. Make it also be the root component. Collision comp equals pcip dot create default subobject. There we go. Use sphere component. And we're going to make it be this, and we're going to name it collision comp. Collision comp, if I can spell collision comp, member access, and we're going to say init sphere radius. Basically, it's just going right off the bat. This is going to be the sphere radius. We're going to have it be 5.0f. Just something simple for now. It's going to be a simple rocket just go forward. And collision comp. And we're going to say body instance dot set. It lets it find it. Why aren't you finding it? Set Did I spell instance wrong? No. Set collision profile name. Should let me do this. Projectile. Well, it says profile name. Well, I guess not. Trying to figure out why it won't let me do that. Oh, it did let me do that. Well, alright then. Okay, now since we get the profile name, it basically was collisions profiles are defined in their default INI, no default engine INI, so you could set the profile name and be like, hey, this is the projectile profile name. It's helpful to separate from this kind of collision from this kind of collision. Separates the same thing with what we do with trace. It helps identify specific things. Like if you have like a trace channel only set to pawn, is only going to find pawns only. It's not going to do anything correctly for you. So do collision comp, and we'll have on component hits dot add dynamic. Basically, what I said before is very self-explanatory. What I said before, same thing with on component begin overlap. We're setting a new function to be our on hit component, not on hit function. My bad. Set this, and we're going to have a reference to a rocket. It doesn't exist yet. We're going to say on hit. I'm going to actually add that right now, actually, so it doesn't have any complaints. And a rocket. There we go. Now it shouldn't have a complaint. There we go. Alright, so next thing we're going to add our root component, be this. Root component equals collision count. Alright, so now let's get our projectile movement set up real quick. Projectile movement. Ooh, I should show you what we need to add in our include file. It's a game framework. It's from in there. So we have to say include game framework / projectile movement component. Yes, it needs this or else it will not run. It will not compile. I have no idea why, because before we never had to use it, but now we do. Because they got rid of a lot of globals. PCIP.create default. If I can see if I'm spelling right, subobject. New projectile movement component. And this will be this, and we'll give it a name, projectile comp. And projectile movement. It should let me identify. Did I spell it right? Yes. Should let me access it. Why is it complaining? It's undefined. Hold on. Let me compile it real quick. It'll stop complaining then. So I want to show you guys the memory accesses to it. So it doesn't like that. Oh, the slashes are backwards. Okay. It's like, no, it has to be this slash. Fine, fine, fine. Oh man. Okay, so still, oh, rocket missing semicolon. Variable declaration. That's strange. Oh, rocket.h. Oh, okay. That's why I was complaining all the time. I forgot the semicolon. So always going to compile. If you're getting errors, just compile it, find it. That should take care of it. I'm going to compile it now. Let's see what it says. Should let me do it. And also I need to put a comma there. Now we can move on once it gets done building here quick. Actually, I'm just going to move on anyways. Okay, it's complaining. And we're going to member access update component. Updated component, my bad. It'll equal collision comp. Meaning it's going to be updating with the collision comp. It's going to be, hey, we're going to be moving with this particular component. Projectile movement, member access, and we're going to give it initial speed, of course. Equals, we'll make it really pretty fast. We'll make it 3,000. and we'll make the projectile movement. Make its, I don't know if I spell it right. Dial movement. Make its max speed. If I get to it, max speed. Make that equal 3000 as well. So it goes one way. F. And we're going to say projectile movement. The rotation follows velocity. We're going to say equals true. So it could actually bounce and kind of give a rotation to it, but that's for actually no. I'm going to set it to false because I don't believe a rocket has rotation with the velocity. So projectile movement and should bounce. We're going to make that equal false. We don't want it to bounce. Make our initial lifespan. We're going to make it be what would be 5.f. Make it only last that long. So now in our onHit component, on our onHit function for our component hit, we're going to basically just have it blow up on anything for now, because we don't have our enemy class yet. But I will show you here in a minute how this will be set up. I'm going to say if other actor is not equal none, null that is. Put another parenthesis on here so we can make sure it's defined properly. And other actor does not equal this, so it doesn't hit this wrong. And other comp does not equal null, meaning it's going to hit everything on the scene. And I'll keep it as that. I'm going to say other comp. I'm going to get other comp's pointer. It lets me. Oh, it's not. Oh, let's see. Open, close, open, close. Oh, forgot that. That's why. Now it'll work. I'm going to say add impulse. We're going to add an impulse at location. Basically, you're going to say whatever is in this location, it's going to bounce back. It's kind of simulating a rocket, should you say? And get the velocity of this particular projectile, times it by 100, and we're going to add the location, get actor location, which would be this actor's location. That's all we would need. Then we're going to say destroy. Obviously, once it hits it, we want to destroy it. So, and that's all we need in our rocket projectile. So we're going to hit play, and it should build. I'm going to show you what happens when we put it on the scene. Just let it sit there, and you can see this kind of blob. I don't think I have physics turned on, but if it does, that's okay for now. I just want to show you how to detect projectiles and collisions. Same with the traces. So let's go ahead and pick up our rocket launcher. Go 3. Actually, it's not going to do anything because we don't have a blueprint. Number 1. Blueprint. I'm going to add rocket. We want a rocket, so I'm going to say rocket. I'm going to say just be safe. Come on, there we go. Because we're going to actually do something particular for our weapons class. Say rename rocket underscore BP. There we go. So in it, we're going to go to our components. We're going to grab, I forgot to put in? I forgot to put in a mesh. So we're going to do that right now. We're going to delete this blueprint here real quick. Yes, exile this, save, and we're going to add a mesh. Actually, I'm going to blueprint mesh it because we're not necessarily worried about the mesh being in C++. We're going to actually add the component in blueprint. We're just going to have it attached to the collision component. So back to here. I'm going back to new blueprint rocket. And I'm going to call it rocket underscore BP. So it identifies blueprint, and we actually add it to a specific thing in our rocket. So I'm going to add a component static mesh. I'm going to call it rocket We're just going to add it. We're going to have it be, I don't know, let's see. Let's have it be a sphere for now. No big deal. We will set the size of it, make it smaller. Make it smaller. Just a little itty bitty buddy. Check down a bit, collision count. And rocket, make it a little smaller. There. Just for now. Just to say, hey, this is a little buddy that's going to do something. Compile it, save it, exit. Now, what we need to do next, in order for the projectile to be used, we need to set up things in our character. Not our character, but our weapon, as a matter of fact. So, in our weapon.h, we are going to add something below here. We're going to include rocket. We're going to include this because we're going to add one thing here in our U properties. So U property, I'm going to say edit defaults only category equals projectile. And we're going to say, let's see here quick. This is going to be rocket, rocket, a rocket. Going to be projectile, projectile. That's how to be projectile, straight up. There. Exile that. I'm going to see, hit play. Just gotta load here real quick. It's getting there. Alright, almost there. Alright, so now let's go ahead and go into our rocket launcher. Make sure we be able to select it. For the projectile, I gotta type it in. Projectile. It's not letting us select. We need a particular class. Alright, so this is what we're going to do. I forgot one little thing because I forgot to make it a T subclass of. How else are we going to spawn it, number one. That would be my bad. So we're going to say T subclass of a rocket. I'm going to say class a rocket just to be sure. I'm going to call it projectile class. There we go. Now, let's see, we're going to do one little thing here too. We want to tell it in our weapon, if projectile type is weapon, we want to call a different function. So in our weapon.h, we're going to add a new function. We're going to call it, I'm going to make this be a U function just in case. I'm going to say void projectile fire. But we're going to make this a virtual function because we only want to call it in our, we're going to call it in our rocket launcher class. So virtual void b is undefined. That's funny. So we're going to grab this. We have to once we prototype, we have to have a definition in here as well. Void a weapon. But we're going to have nothing in it though. We're actually going to be doing it inside our rocket class. So in our rocket.h, we're going to add one little thing here. We don't have to put U function again because I already know this is U function by default. So we'd say virtual void projectile fire override. Now we can actually access this function that is actually the base function that actually inherited from rocket here. We can actually do something here. So let's go to rocket.cpp and we're going to add, not rocket, my bad, I'm sorry, rocket launcher. That's H. Did I add the wrong place? Yes, I did. Yep. I'm going to cut that and put it in the right place now. Put it here. There we go. Now it's not complaining. So we're going to put the rocket launcher function in here. Don't need that. Don't need a virtual. I'm going to say void a rocket launcher scope. Awesome. So now, because this already has rocket in it, we already know what projectile we need. We can now say, we actually have to override it. We have to say super projectile fire, projectile class fire. There we go. And now we could say, we have to do quite a few things. And also we just gotta double check if projectile class does not equal null, just for the check. Make sure it does not equal null so it doesn't crash the engine. And we're going to need the f vector. We need the vector of the f vector socket. No, mf lock. We're going to the muzzle flash locker equals mesh. Just get socket. Hang on a second. Where are we at here? What did I use? Weapon mesh is what I needed. Okay, not mesh. So we can say weapon mesh get socket location. That'll be weapon socket. Get storing the information of the muzzle flash lock location. I'm gonna get f rotator. And get the mf rotation equals weapon mesh. Oops, if I could type it right. Get socket rotation weapon socket. Make sure it's underscore. Quote, parentheses, semicolon. Now we got that. Now, since we got that, now we can say f factor. We need the spawn parameters, of course. I'm going to call it spawn params. I'm going to say spawn params dot owner equals this. I'm going to make the spawn params dot instigator equal instigator. I'm going to spell it. There we go. And then we're going to say a rocket. We're going to spawn it. We're going to say spawn rocket equals. Actually, we're going to make it. I want to make it a constant. Make this a constant. Const rocket equals. So nothing changes in it. Nothing happens to it. Constant equals get world, and of course spawn actor. And we're spawning a rocket. We need the subclass of it, which would be projectile class. And you just get the location and rotation. So we're going to say mf lock, mf rot, and our spawn params. And there we go. And we're going to do one little thing here quick. We're going to say if rocket, we're going to give it initial velocity once it spawns. So I'm going to say f vector, and a constant. Yeah, we'll do that. Constant launch equals where is it at here? There we are. Mf rot dot vector, and get the vector of the rotation. So we can be like, hey, this is a straight location here. We're going to give it its initial velocity at that rotation. Rocket, get there, init velocity. If it lets me, init velocity. Well, I don't think that'll be necessary. So we'll do that. Leave it at the way it is. That's no big deal. So right now we're going to exile this real quick, and we're going to hit play, and we should have our projectile fires now because we have it in our weapon, and we actually have it selected on fire. Ooh, we forgot to add that function in there. So add projectile fire in our projectile enum. We select it. Just gotta do that real quick once the editor loads up. Since it's in code, you don't have to worry about any constructor or header file changes. Go in here. I'm gonna add projectile fire. There we go. Now we can compile it. Okay, let's compile. Come on, buddy. There we go. Alright, just got done compiling. So let's go ahead and go to our rocket launcher. And let's go ahead and select our projectile class. We gotta find projectile. Projectile class. We're going to get our rocket.pp because the reason why I set that so we can separate the names so we get our blueprint class instead. So nothing gets confused. So now we'll exile this and we'll hit play. Grab our rocket launcher and blammo! Look at that. See the projectiles? It's shooting out the way it should be. That is awesome. I can see it. There you are. Yeah, I don't have any weapon animation in here yet. But yeah, let's go ahead and grab all this other stuff here quick. Switch between one. We got traces. We got single traces as of a pistol, and we have rocket launcher projectiles. This is great. Awesome setup. I love how this is working. Alright, so now we have all the weapons set up. Now we're going to move on to trace and projectile identifications. Okay, so before we begin to the trace and projectile identification, we need to make an enemy. So we're going to make a but we're going to go File. I'm going to add code to project, make it be an actor. We're going to have it call it enemy. You can choose pawn or actor, whichever one you prefer. It doesn't matter. I'm just using actor to make it a little bit simpler. I'm going to hit yes. I'm going to hit reload all. Yes. Make sure it doesn't load another one. Yeah, it's trying to load another one. Hey, when it does that. So, okay, which one? Yeah, I'm going to get rid of this here. Don't need that because we already have it here. So enemy.h, enemy.cpp. It's not going to be really anything. The only thing it's going to have, enemy.h. We're going to add a static mesh to it as a U property. Visible anywhere. Blueprint read only. Category equals mesh. T sub object pointer. This will be a use static mesh component. Mesh. And that's all we need. I'm gonna say also we gotta make our mesh default sub object. Equals PCIP dot create default sub object. Use static mesh component. Be this, and we're gonna name it mesh. Root component equals mesh. There we go. Awesome. So we got that all set up. So we get to assign a mesh to it, whatever we need to do it. Okay, so we're gonna go to weapon.h. Actually, no, weapon.cpp. My bad. And now we're going to identify with process instant hit. This is how we're going to know if we identified something we hit or not. So we're going to say if. No, not if. We're going to say, actually, we need to add the enemy to the weapon class, of course. Include, because how are we also going to identify the enemy without knowing its class? Enemy.h. Awesome. So now we could do that. Say a enemy. Make this be a pointer. Make it call it enemy equals cast a enemy, and we're going to have it be the impact dot actor. Now, not actor, but get actor. My bad. Get actor. There we go. Okay. So basically, impact has a lot of things in it. Basically, you get the actor. I'll just show you here quick. Has a lot of things in it. So you get the actor, the blocking hit, you get a bone name, you get the face index, you get the actors, the first number blocking hits, location, the item, the physics material, trace end and start, absolutely everything. This is impact because it's a hit result. We can do a lot of things with it. But with this code here, basically saying if the impact.getActor equals an enemy, and we're actually storing it into a pointer in it. That's basically what it's saying. So if enemy, if I can say it right, if enemy, if it is enemy, we're going to do this. We're going to check if we hit it or not. Say G engine add on add on screen debug message -1 3.f f color, rather this be red, and we're going to have a message be you hit an enemy. Yay. That's all we need to do. We're just checking the identification. Okay, so then since we have this all set up, we can now say, let's see quick, double check, and do we need, I'm thinking in my head, do we need to set a default channel response in our INI file? Do we have a custom trace though? Yes, we do. Yeah, I'm going to set that up. So under your config, go ahead and go default engine.ini, and we're going to add a custom default channel here quick. I believe under scripts, we're going to add plus default channel responses equals channel equals ECC underscore game trace channel 1. Because the reason being we're doing this is because we're making our own custom trace channel. And always go identify is because you remember this here from our first tutorial, define trace weapon ECC game trace channel 1. We need to tell it in our default engine to know we're using this trace channel to do this. I'm going to say name equals weapon. Oops. And default responses equals ECR underscore block. Oops. Underscore block. B trace type equals true. And B static object equals false. And that's all we need. I believe so. Yeah. Actually, we don't need this other one here, I don't think. No, we don't need that. Okay, so we'll save that out. Save default engine.ini. So this should be able to identify the enemy when we hit it. So hit local Windows debugger, hit play, let it do its thing. Let's make sure, yep, this should work. Alright, just got done compiling. So let's go ahead and make a new blueprint. We're going to add another subfolder in our blueprints. We're going to add a new folder, call it enemy. And we're going to open it. We're going to add a new blueprint called from deriving from class enemy. I'm going to select and call it enemy underscore VP. And we're going to add a static mesh to it. Components. Mesh, just add it. Let's have it be a capsule. Enemy capsule, yeah. If I can find it. Capsule. No, I don't want that. We'll just have it be a cylinder. Why not? Enemy cylinder. Save. And we'll drag and drop it into the scene. Right there. And we'll hit. So grab these two. I'll grab this as well. So see if this works. You hit an enemy, see? Keeps telling me you hit an enemy, so let's spread it. Boom. Oops. Boom, boom, boom. It lets us know we hit an enemy. So you hit a lot of times with that. It double checks it quite a bit. See? Now we actually have the checks if we hit an enemy. And since we have that, we'll do one last little thing here. If we hit the enemy with our trace, let's destroy it. Enemy, let's destroy it, because why not? Because we're going to kill the enemy, because, yeah, that's what we're going to do. And we're going to compile it. And this shouldn't take long to compile, since it's only one line of code. Hopefully not. Awesome, just got done compiling. So hit play. And now, we can now destroy our actor. I'm going to say, we're going to grab our pistol, this pistol weapon, and just be like, bam! He hit an enemy, he's dead. Awesome, so, let's go ahead and do this for the same thing for projectile. Okay, so inside our rocket.cpp, we're going to do one thing here as well. We're going to say add impulse, and we're going to say another thing we're going to say if other actor, actually first off, before we do that, we're going to include enemy in our include enemy.h. We're going to include that, or else it's not going to know what we're talking about. We're going to say a enemy. Same thing we did in our other one. I'm going to say enemy equals cast a enemy and other actor. I'm going to say, oops, I forgot semicolon. Say if enemy, I'm going to double check too. I'm just going to make a little more specifications here. I'm going to grab this. I'm going to say, so if you hit the enemy, you're going to say you blew up the enemy, because why? We hit it with a rocket. You blew up. Not blew up. There we go. Alright. So, we got to add one last thing here, because it's not identifying that. So we're going to put include, should just probably put this in general, the engine.h. Now it should know. And it won't freak out. Now it's going to let me use that. And I'm going to end bracket that. Now, let's go ahead and compile it, and it should, actually not, and destroy this, we're going to destroy enemy. You're going to do, should do enemy destroy first. Enemy destroy. And we'll destroy this as well. So, now let's go ahead and compile it, and this should all work. We have all the identifications, and everything should be great. Alright, just got to do compiling, and then moment of truth. Let's grab our rocket, and let's screw up this SOB. Bam! Oh, it's not finding it. Let's see. Should find it. I'm right on top of it. Don't know why it's not shooting it though. Yeah, it's not finding it. Okay, so let's do a little more clarification here quick. Double check enemy cast if other actor. As a matter of fact, I'm going to put this on the outside, just in case. Don't need to worry about that. Just want to do these two. I'm going to grab these. Actually, you don't need it. Yeah, let's grab it right here. If enemy, just get rid of this. We don't need that actually. We're just going to check that. Recompile it. Double check. So double check, make sure other actor doesn't equal null. Yeah, we're doing that, but we just want to check the other actor if it equals that. Alright, so let's hit play. Let's try it again. If I can shoot it right. Okay, I'm on top of it. Nothing's happening. Strange. Let's see here. I know something we missed. Let me double check here. Let's take a look here. Let me see in my INI. Oh, I know why. It's because we didn't set our collision profile correctly. So I'm gonna do, I believe it's script, then engine.collision profile. There. Let's see. Yep. We're gonna name. We got two of them. We got to do here. So I'm gonna say another one because we got that one working. We need to do the same thing with this one. Another default channel responses. And use equals channel equals ECC underscore game trace channel 2. And this name will equal projectile because we have a profile name on here and we're not using it. That's what I find funny. So we're going to do that for sure. And where are we at here? Where's my projectile? There you are. Okay. So we got that all set up. We need to put this in our header file, I believe. Yes. Okay. Actually, no. I'm going to put it in our project. So we're going to find weapon essentials.h. We're going to define it right here. Let's see. Let's say define collision projectile. I'm going to say define projectile underscore collision. This will be ECC underscore game trace channel 2. And now identify globally. So then we have that set up. We can now go to, where are we at here? No, I don't want to pin that. There we go. Rocket.h. Make sure everything's all set up. Now I should identify the body as a set collision profile name. So let's exile this real quick. Close. Save selected. And we're going to hit play one last time. And it should work now. I'm going to unpause it when it gets done compiling. Alright, just got done compiling. So let's go ahead and check one last time. If not, I may have a solution to this. So we're going to hit 3 and let's see what happens. Still nothing. Okay. So let's go ahead, go to our rocket underscore BP. And let's check our collisions here. Go to our collisions. Where are we at? Collision. Here we are. Custom. Let's set collision enabled. Well, dynamic. We want to set. Okay, it's blocking that correctly. So it should be overlapping, and it's blocking that. Good, good. Should be able to identify actor. I'll compile and save that. No big deal. So 3. Let's see, I'm gonna do a little more digging here quick. So we should know. We have it set the way it should be. Did I say weapons 2 on here? Yes, I did. Named it projectile. I wonder if I rid of this collision profile name. I'm gonna try that once. If not, I have a better solution that may work. I can use onComponent begin overlap. If that does not work, all part of debugging. It does happen this way. We'll compile this, see if it works. If not, I know what will work. The reason why I like to use onHead because we actually check the impulses of the movement of the projectile. It really does help, but for some reason I'm doing something wrong. And we'll find out what it is. I'm going to pause when it gets done. Alright, just got done compiling. Let's see if this will work. Let's say 3. Oh, just not destroying it. Alright, so this is what we're going to do. we are going to change on hit to on collision. We're going to make it a on overlap actor instead. We'll set other comp. I'm going to say, what was it? Cool. No, int32. Spell int32, right? 32 other body index. I'm going to say bool b from sweep, and then constant f hit result, reference to sweep result, and go back to our rocket.cpp, rocket.h. Hang on a second. 1 minute. I think I know what's going on. No, that's right. Okay. That's right. Okay. Now grab this, and we're going to change it to this. Actually, no, I need to worry about this. Grab this here, and there we go. Change it to there. Alright. Now, gosh darn, hit Control C. Come on. There we are. Control C. There we are. I'm going to switch it with this. Control V. And we're not going to make it on component hit, on component begin overlap. And now we could check it a little better. I believe that should work. No, it's not on hit, on collision. My bad. Now it should work. Awesome. So, let's go ahead and hit play. And let's begin. I'm going to unpause it until it gets done compiling. Alright, just got done compiling. So let's see if we get this to work. Hit 3. Shoot. Boom, you blew up the enemy. I know I usually use on component begin overlap, it usually always works. So, my current weapon is rocket launcher, shooting projectiles, and we'll shoot that. Boom, you blew up the enemy. How awesome is that? Alright. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed our tutorial. I really appreciate the subscribers, past 900 subscribers, and I really love the following. I'm going to continue making more tutorials for you guys because I love every one of you guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and you guys have a great day.